They're clearly out really backing this number. There were many officials were on the Sunday shows talking about it. 4.1% is a great number. Unemployment is at very low, under 4%, or right around 4%. So the economy is booming. I mean, this is a really great story, a great narrative for the president to tell, which I think is what sort of helped prompt them over the weekend. You know, the president said he's after Labor Day is going to hit the road 6 to 7 days a week during the midterms to stump for Republican candidates. I think Republicans are very much trying to focus on the economic message. They want to hit the tax cuts as well to sort of paint this picture that the Trump economy is a great economy. You should keep Republicans in the House and Senate.
By the way, though, talking about the issue of taxes, did you see that piece over the weekend that suggested that Republicans are not talking about the tax cuts, that is not an issue that has been a popular one?
Right. I mean, they haven't been hitting it that much. There's a lot of Republicans who say they should be talking about it more.
I'm surprised they're not hitting it either.
Right. I mean, it's their one big legislative achievement. They were hyping it all throughout the year. They've got studies that show it's like it meant real money into the pockets of voters. But what we're seeing in our polling is that a lot of people, voters it's not a top of their agenda. Healthcare is a big issue for voters, which is, I think, a plus for Democrats. For the first time ever, they're spending more money defending the Affordable Care Act than Republicans are spending attacking it. So I think Republicans are in a bit of a mix here, a bit of a spot here on their message, talking about taxes and the economy. And I think that's what sort of what the needle Trump is going to try and thread. But as we reported over the weekend, what Trump's folks are really talking about, they're hitting, I think, the 3 M's, sort of like MS-13 and migrations, and not hitting much more sort of the divisive cultural issues as opposed to the economy and tax cuts.
Things that they think motivates the base. Nick,
exactly.
The president's threatening to shut down the government if he doesn't get funding for the wall. What do you think? Give us the probabilities of whether or not you think that happens.
That is not something that's going to happen before the midterms. Republicans up for re-election are apoplectic about the concept of closing the government 30, 60 days before the midterm elections. But do look for another fight on border funding and the wall to happen in December, in the end of the year. We're looking for a very short-term spending deal just to get us, kick the can down the road, per usual, to get us into December. That may be another time, again, for the president to start a big fight over the wall. Remember, he hates very much the last spending bill he signed in the spring. That was a $1 trillion budget-busting one, and so which he didn't get the wall funding he wanted. So he really does want to take this fight again. Don't look for it to happen before the midterms.
How much of a go ahead? I'm sorry. How much of a problem are the Koch brothers potentially for this president? Nick, and the commentary that you're starting to get about the trade and protectionist, at least what they perceive to be these protectionist trade policies.
I don't know if I would call it a problem yet. I think the Koch brothers' comments over the weekend are very interesting, how they're sort of distancing themselves from Trump, particularly on trade and immigration. Remember, fundamentally, they're still backing Republican candidates. They're still working with Jared Kushner on criminal justice reform. So don't expect the Koch brothers to suddenly come out and say, well, Nancy Pelosi should be speaker now because we don't like Donald Trump.
No, but aren't they going to back people? I thought they're trying to make it somewhat clear. Maybe it's a warning shot, if nothing else.
Yeah.
That look, we'll back people who support the agenda that we support.
Yes, that's right. So they won't be backing Republicans sort of writ large across the entire thing, but that doesn't mean they're going to become an organization backing Democratic candidates. Right. I think the Koch brothers certainly would much rather have a Republican Speaker of the House instead of Nancy Pelosi next year.